So about myself, the truth is that I am searching for myself last so many years, 30, 35 years, and I couldn't find. I think one day I will find, but to say that myself, self, when we say self, we have in English the way to interpret the self in two fashion. When you read the books, I think most of you read the books about self and philosophy. When you see the good books, especially the books of Shivan Swamiji and all, you see the self is written with capital S, E, L, F. That's the one self. The second is with a small letter S, E, L, F, self. These two are different. Whenever you see, when you read in the books with a capital S, the self start, it means the pure self, it is your own self. Maybe we can say the soul or the consciousness or whatever. The reality, the truth in you, that's that self. When we say that I am able to talk about myself with the capital S, E, L, F, self, the small self, the me to identify with my life and achievements. My body, my name, my intelligence, my achievements, things. So that's all I can talk to you about. My name is Swami Harivamananda, and I am disciple of Swami Vishnu Devanji. I think most of you know Swami Vishnu Devanji. And somehow I had a good karma, good fortune to be with him in his last 2-3 years of life, mostly when he was in this area. So Swamiji had a lot of interest and focus and inspiration on this place, especially in Himalaya, and the place called Gangotri. There is a cave. So I had an opportunity to be with him in the cave and survey.
You will visit there.
You will visit soon. Actually, the purpose is, there is a long story in our life that when you get tired of your life, you all work very hard, make money and spend money, and many people say I work hard to make more money. When I have more money, I can spend more, and when you can spend more, then you can relax more. But ultimately you feel the happiness and the peace of mind when you are somewhere, somehow in a particular mode of your focus. Like, we don't know precisely where is the happiness. We do all this yoga practice, we do work, we have friendships, we have relationships, we have all this traveling for one reason. The underlying reality is that we are searching for something in your life, which actually we don't know where we get it. But it's a very common that we are all searching for happiness. How do you know? Because anything which is not making you happy, you don't want that to be repeated in your life. You feel like you're getting out of it. But anything making you happy, you get attached to that. So basically in our life, we are looking for happiness and peace of mind. And many people say, see, don't disturb me, don't come to me, I want to be peaceful. So it means what? If you want to be peaceful, you have to be detached. Right. We are looking for the happiness, we are looking for the peace of mind, and also we want to live forever. Is it true or not? Is it true? And also, there is an interesting thing what we see in our life is, as a baby, as a child, we are happy when we grow older and older. Right? So small little kids, you see that mostly they wear the clothes of their elder brothers or cousins, or they pretend like I'm already grown up. They are happy. But after a age, and every birthday you celebrate, kids, it's a big celebration. But after a age, you don't want to grow more. And I know personally many people, including myself, after a age we don't celebrate our birthdays. Is it true? Then our every attempt is actually to be in that youth, not to get older. But it is impossible. However you try not to get older, you will get older. We all will get older. So we always looking for always being young, energetic. So all these qualities what we are looking for, the happiness, the peace on our youth, and also we all like to be more popular and known to everybody. Is it true? Because nowadays things are changed. Otherwise, suppose an article or something come about me, somebody write an article, it is published in any books or any channel to come in the television. What I do, I'll be so happy and I will inform everybody. This article is coming about me, and because I want to be popular, I want to be everywhere in everybody's mind. So these are all actually what we are looking for in our life. But we don't know exactly where I get the happiness, where I get the peace of mind. So the life journey starts with this idea as a young individuals, what they think, I am not happy myself, I am not complete myself. So I want to be happy only when I am complete. So I want to become complete, adding something more on to me, because I am incomplete now as a single individual. So whatever you are looking for, the happiness, the peace and all, you can try to find out everywhere possible according to your intelligence, your culture, your proximity. Ultimately, the happiness is within you, not outside. And also, even when the objective happiness, when you experience, when truthfully when you are happy, at that moment, you are not in remembrance of your body, mind, intellect or achievements. In any fashion, when you forget all these things, then remains what is your happiness. There you have no identity. The only example we can tell a little bit about the sleep. So when you sleep, what happens? You don't remember your body, you don't remember your name, you don't remember your credit card, you don't even remember you are a girl or boy. But after sleep, when you get up, what happens? You feel so recharged. Suppose you don't have sleep for 1 week continuous, what will happen? You get tired. So in sleep, how do you recharge? How do you feel fresh? Because when you want to recharge your mobile phone, what do? You connect that mobile phone into the power point, right? Then you switch on. So like that, when you sleep, when you come out of all your identity, when you connect your power point which is within you, then you are able to recharge. But sleep comes out of ignorance. But the same connection, the same attunement, if you can experience when you are awake, that is called meditation. The few minutes of meditation is equivalent to so many hours of sleep. And meditation is supposed to be the most effortless behavior of you. Meditation is not an activity, meditation is not a work. You have to drop away all the work, activity, effort, then what happens is the meditation. So anyway, whatever we are trying to looking for on a life, the so-called happiness and peace, we try everywhere possible. When you are not happy in your own country and you think if I go to India, I will be happy. And you have to know so many Indians are not happy here. They think when I go to America, I will be happy. So, but when we change the place, when you change the environment, for a while you feel not the true happiness, you feel a kind of relief, relaxation. Okay. So somehow what is the truth is that you have to find, you carry the immense infinite happiness within you, you have to connect to it and you have to tap it. That's the ultimate possibility. So there are so many traditional ways to experience that, and one of the fundamental and important practice to experience the true happiness within you is called the pilgrimage. Pilgrimage, we call it in English spiritual tourism. The tourism and pilgrimage are different. The way, the fashion with which you are going to travel now in the Himalaya is different. It is not a tourism. It's a pilgrimage. Pilgrimage means you go to a new place and try to be happy with whatever happening around. You don't expect everything to be right according to your decision and your desire, not necessarily. Here, anything can happen. Yesterday there was rain, and here in one single day, sometimes we may be able to see all different 5 different varieties of climatic conditions. Morning is sunlight, too hot, then rain, then snow, then wind, then sometimes earthquake, then evening peaceful. This is what is Himalayas. And any change, any eventuality in our life, physically, individually, spiritually, and the climatic wise, whatever happens, you, instead of complaining, instead of demanding, instead of arguing each other, you have to try to be in tune to whatever you are getting. It's a kind of, it's not a right word, but I have no other way to help you, to tell you, the kind of practice of surrender means accepting it. So then what happens when you are in a place where you are not, something are not really happening as the way you are expected, then you will know the true nature in you. So when you travel together, when you live together, you know about the people better. Is it true? When the new introduction of people, individuals, they are so good. Our Swamiji used to tell always honey, honey. You express all your best piece of performance outside in the shop mall. You see in the showcase they have the best pieces. Like that, your best words, the best gestures, expressions, smiling face, appreciating each other. Oh, wonderful, wonderful, and everything is wonderful. If any single thing go wrong, then you go just opposite. You complain. So once it happened in Gangotri, when I was in Gangotri, I met a couple like you, European I think, middle age. I met him on the road and he asked me, are you Swami living here? And only very people speak English. My English also not very good, but I am trying to speak little. He said yes. And are you living here? I said yes. Then just introduction, then I asked him, how do you like this Gangotri? Swamiji, it is a heaven. This is a true heaven and I want to be here lifelong. I never seen such a spiritual place in my life. I said, okay, good. Next day morning I saw he was running in front of my cave. So upset. He was looking for something and he was going up and down. So I came out, I asked him, can I help you? What you are looking for? I am looking for the police inspector here. I said, why? I need a helicopter now. Now the situation is changed. I am talking about 25 years before. You need a helicopter in Gangotri, it will take minimum 6 months. First you have to write to the district authority. Then district authority will recommend to the Delhi authority. Delhi, you have 5 ministries. You have the foreign affairs ministry, financial ministry, security ministry. Then they'll deploy somebody to have an investigation on the security issues. Minimum 6 months. Because I know I tried to get a helicopter for our Vishnu Swami once. It spent many days. I said, why you want to have a helicopter? I want to tell you something, Swami. I said, what? Gangotri is a hell. Yesterday evening it was a heaven. And within 8 hours it became a hell. I said, what happened? How can I help you? Yesterday what happened? I said, what happened? After meeting you, we went to a tea shop. Me and my wife, we had some food. And the whole night my wife got stomach. What do you call it? Diarrhea and vomiting. And there is no hospital or no ICU. I want to take her in a helicopter down to Delhi city. I said, going to helicopter is impossible. And also I can tell you, Gangotri is not a hell. But whatever happened, it happened. I can help you. I will come with you. Then I went with him. I arranged a taxi to send both of them just 15-20 kilometers down below Gangotri. There is an army corps. So they have a standing instruction to help the pilgrimages and people. They give the immediate treatment, then they will arrange. So that's what I did. So this is what happens. So this is what happens in our life, not only when you travel, the very basic life, this is what is our attitude. As long as some individual or an object is making you support, you are good, go well, in tune, is good. The moment you have a little bit of difference in opinion, not so happy, then you feel disturbed. The basic reason is your expectation. So that is what happens in every argument. Your every argument start in your life with this sentence, I never expected this from you. Okay man, you change your expectation. The problem is solved. That's the solution. If you never expected this, you change your expectation. That's the true solution. Well, I never expected and I change you. Then I take you. And then after 3 days, again the same story. I never expected this from you too. So the expectation is the problem. Actually, the pilgrimage, the spiritual tourism, the yoga tourism, or the pilgrimage means, in Sanskrit, the word is Tirtha Yatra. That's the true word. The idea is that you travel without expectation. Okay? Suppose you plan to go to Gangotri today, and 10 o'clock you will reach, and you will search in the Google 3.5 hours of driving to this place, then 5 hours you will reach Gangotri, then you have lunch there, then you will do this, I do that. It's okay, fine. Thank God you will be safe, but it happened to us always that many times when we start from here, something happened, roadblock. Then all of you together trying to fight with the Swami. Swami, you promised me that you will take me to Gangotri before 3 o'clock and we are on the road. What Swami can do? And what you can do? So this is what is actually called pilgrimage. You just go without expectation. And also I can tell you, many of you have some idea about the Himalayan life for the individual people, the culture, reading the books, that they are all remote tribe community, they are not fashionable, they don't have anything modern. And also you have this idea about the Swamis living in Uttarakashi, that they are not modern. But I can tell you, Uttarakashi Swamis are the most modern Swamis. There are some books. I read a book. A traveler published a book at 1 million copies sold all over the world. It's writing, he is narrating about his experience in Himalaya. He came to Uttarakashi. When he arrived at Uttarakashi, there are 3 yogis, brilliant yogis, waiting for him on the bus station and received him. They asked him, how come you are there? He said, we got the telepathic message that you are coming, so we came to the town gas station there to receive. And they were traveling in a car. They stopped on the middle of the way for lunch. So he asked the Swamis, you want to eat food? And the Swami said, Uttarakashi, Swamis here in Uttarakashi, we don't eat food. When you are hungry, we will say only Om, the stomach will be full. But the reality, Swamiji knows and she knows, Uttarakashi Swamis are the Swamis and the human being eating maximum good food in the universe. In a week, you have 7 days, 7 days a week, 6 days we have feast. Tomorrow morning I have to go for a special feast. Every day we have some get together, some celebrations. So we Swamis are the people celebrating our life in every moment and every day. This is actually people create some idea in your mind. Somebody came to me and complained that Swamiji, I never expected this kind of things from a Himalayan Swami. So actually for a period of time in my life I was appearing like a true Himalayan Swami, not nowadays. But nowadays too much influence of these people in Madurai and the other ashram. I had a lock, that lock, and minimum cloth. I don't take much bath, not cleaning cloth and not. Then I was looking like a Himalayan. So now I changed because too much of itching and animal in my hair and things. Now I am more civilized. Then I was in a workshop, theatre workshop, where some youngsters, they asked me, when they came to know that one Swami is going to come from Himalaya, they had some expectation and I am not fit into that. They thought a Swami will come, he may be thin, tired, not reacting, dull, don't laugh, don't make any jokes, don't react, like a statue, tired, skinny and poor, and old fashioned clothes and things. So I said that time has gone. That time, when you go to these places in a village, you can purchase car, you can even purchase helicopter here, now in Uttarakashi. and I am purchasing vegetable every day online. Nutragachi, that's the truth. Yesterday also I purchased.
We don't believe in our place.
That is too far. And your beautiful app, vegetable, Himalayan vegetable, I order, and after 3 hours a boy will come and give it to me in my room. And price is less and good quality vegetable. So the local vegetables. So what we need when we go to new places, actually you have to accept all these eventualities. Don't go with a conditioned mind. Don't fix your mind into anything. So-called expectation you have to come out. And expectation not only to the climatic conditions, the road conditions, expectation from you individuals also. Okay? And just go. Good. With minimum complaints. And second thing, the purpose of this Tirtha Yatra, the pilgrimage is, end of this pilgrimage, after this, you have to renounce something in your life. So maybe some of you have experienced, you might have traveled in India, some pilgrimage places, you go. So in most of the place, the very place where the main ritual happens, you see some leftover clothes and chappals and things. You see? Did you see? In Rameshwaram you see a lot. And in Rishikesh, Haridwar you will see. In Haridwar what happened? You throw something in the Ganga, some boys will be there, they take it back home. So the idea is actually to renounce, to throw away something what you carried at the end of the pilgrimage. That is, then alone the pilgrimage is worth. So what you have to throw away, that depends. What you have to renounce, you know what is a renunciation? What is a renunciation?
Give everything away, no?
Give?
Give everything away, no?
Yeah, give everything away. How do you know, but how do you know you renounce something successful or not? So mostly what happens, you renounce tea, for example, or coffee. Okay. You renounce coffee. Then what you do? You attach to lemon water. Then when you attach to lemon water, what happens? You will carry lemon, knife, squeezer, honey. You have an extra bag. The result of your so-called renunciation. And coffee and tea in India, when you travel wherever you go, you get it. Now you have to carry lemon wherever you go, ginger wherever you go. It has become more burden. So actually this is not renunciation. In yoga, renunciation is very important. And even the Veda, the Upanishad, our masters say you that if you want to be really happy, this happiness come to you only through renunciation. Tyagena ekena amritatta manashu. Only through renunciation you can be happy, not through attachment. That is what is happening in our life as a result, whether you are aware or not aware. If anybody is making you unhappy, what do? You renounce. You renounce the person or you renounce the object. So only through renunciation you can be happy, not through attachment. What the renunciation means, how do you know you renounce something successful or not is, suppose you renounced something, an individual or an object, doesn't matter, you renounced. Then the presence or the absence, if it doesn't make any effect on you, it means that you renounced it successfully. Otherwise what happened? Suppose an example. Suppose I renounced a person. You are troubling me, I am too much of trouble in my life. I said you get out of my life. I renounce in you. Get out. But after that what happens? You worry more about this person you renounced than the person you are in love with. If you want to know anything about that fellow you renounced, you ask me. I know everything. Where he go, what he eats, to whom he is in contact with. And also suppose I renounced a person out of my life, get out. After 6 months, I meet my common friend. And she says that, I was in Goa. Now people are good in carrying news. I met your old friend. She is so happy now because she is happy. So just that word making you so very unhappy, you know that? You cannot sleep, you cannot eat food. You say that you renounce the person, but still you are not renounced from within. Then after 3 months, again you meet your another common friend, says that, you know, I met your old friend in Varkala beach. She was so unhappy because of missing you. And you will become so energetic now. So the renunciation means like a fasting. In fasting what happens? You have every blessed thing around, but it is your wisdom that I don't eat. That is called a true renunciation. You know what I mean? A hungry person is not. Hungry person means he wants to eat, but he is not getting food. That's not renunciation. So our Swamiji used to tell an example. 2 people, friends, they are walking around in the Delhi city. You know Delhi, our capital, Delhi? They are going out for a walk, morning walk. They saw a beautiful building, that's the house of Indian President. President's building, that's one of the best architects, the best building, heritage building. And one fellow says, did you see that building? He said, yes. Oh, I think I am going to purchase this building. The other one say, no, I am not going to sell it. I don't want to sell it out. What does it mean? This building doesn't belong to him, and this fellow is also not in a position to purchase it. These are all a fake imagination and argument. This is not going to help you out in your life. This is not called the renunciation. Renunciation means, suppose you renounced something, then the presence or absence will not have any effect on you. Can you tell any one example of this kind of renunciation you performed in your life? What do you remember? Don't have much time. So I can tell you. I can help you. You had a lot of toys in your life with which you played in your childhood. You all played, right? Some of your parents may be keeping it. Suppose you get the same toy now. Will you be sad or missing it? Will you be happy of getting it? Will you play with the same reality with which you played in your childhood? No. Because it is there, you used it, and now it is there also, it is okay, but you are not getting attached to it. So you renounced actually million things in your life without your awareness, without your knowledge. All your very good favorite t-shirts, your shoes, your chappal, your bags, your school time friends, your teachers, are they with you now? No. You renounced your baby size, your clothes. You are so attached to those days. But now you don't. Why? Because you don't fit into that. You have grown up. The more you grow up, the more you develop in your evolution, the small little things go away from you with a kind of leaving you a kind of good feeling. Maybe it's a kind of happiness. Okay? So you will not be sad about it. This is called a renunciation. So you can be happy only through renunciation. That's what the Upanishad says. That's what the yoga says. That's what our masters say. Because the reason we try to be happy in our life every possible way, that something, some people or the object making you happy today and the same person or object making you very unhappy tomorrow. This water bottle is making you so very happy. You are keeping it very close and close. Tomorrow you find that it is leaking. What do? You will throw it out. The same thing happens in our life also. So ultimately the happiness is within you, and it can be experienced only through certain practices. For that you need a guru, a master, and you need a procedure also. You need a path and a master. So you follow it. This is the one method, is the pilgrimage. You go to a different unknown place, new food, new people, new conditions, and be in tune to that. So when you travel, there is sometimes good happens, sometimes not so good happens. Sometimes expected things happen, sometimes not expected things happen, sometimes more than expected thing happens. This will somehow make you, help you to identify your own ego. When you say that I am hurt, means what? Because of some situation hurts me. Hurts where? Our own ego, our own expectation. So this is actually the help. That is why pilgrimage is very important. And end of the pilgrimage and this program, I may suggest, I take little bit of freedom to talk to you, to suggest to you that you leave one thing, you renounce one thing. That one thing may be the most disturbing thing in your life, which everybody in your life to whom and all with you complained about you, maybe your irritation, angry, some habits, or some problem with some of your the people or the situation you carry in your life, some bitterness in your previous relationships or issues you carry, some angry, some upset, some revenge, some thing you carry in you. Actually, that is why Ganga has become so very popular and good. It works, and it worked. You go near Ganga and pray to Ganga and tell Ganga that please help me, take away these things from me, please, and have a dip and throw at least one thing out of you, we become more lighter. That is why Himalaya is so very powerful and Ganga is powerful. And actually I remember the next plot is our ashram, Shivananda ashram, Shivananda Kutir. And we are the people first to go and identify that plot. Unfortunately, I was the one. Then we made a project, how can we develop that place, and submitted to Vishnu Swamiji. And he said, I want to see the place. So he came. So we are having construction there. I put the concrete, just put the raw concrete on the room, and with all the support pole, we call scaffoldings, all the metal pieces. That's the time he arrived. So when we went into this room and he looked around and he said, tonight I want to sleep here. I said, you cannot sleep here Swamiji tonight. He said, why? I want to sleep here now. Somehow the reaction came to me and I said, Swamiji, we don't have facilities here. And he said, I have facilities all over the world. Now I want to have peace of mind. Can you do it or not? I said, I will do it. How many days you need to do it? I said, 22 days. In Indian atmosphere, we believe after concrete, we need 20 days to settle it down, then only we can remove the supports. The 2 days to cleaning. And 22nd day evening he arrived. Then 23rd day he started sadhana, his meditation and listening to Bhagavatam, and 7 days we had festival there. The one thing what he has told me, I don't want our facilities. I have facilities all over the world, but I want to have peace of mind. The facilities cannot make you peace. You have to understand. The more facilities means more trouble. To be peaceful, you don't need facilities. To be peaceful, you need a space, individual space where nobody interferes. So this is actually the journey inside. And I can tell you, this can give you only, and I will say with all my little pride, you can experience this peace and freedom only through yoga. Only through yoga. And what yoga says is, any peace or any happiness you are trying to achieve through sensual happiness. Sensual happiness, you understand sensual happiness means? More taste, more beautiful sight, more good smell, more good touch, feeling. This kind of happiness only will lead you ultimately into pain and trouble. Is it true or not? That's what yoga says clearly. Any objective experience can lead you only to unhappiness, not to happiness. Because any objective experience can change at any moment. It is bound to have changes. Like a weather outside. Some days sun, some days rain, some days wind. Like that our mood also changes. Sometimes happy, sometimes angry, sometimes this, sometimes that. So everything will change. Your happy relationship also will change. And you have to understand unhappy situation also will change. But if you want to have a happiness, you have to focus within you. So that you can have only through renunciation, a material, physical relation and the spiritual renunciation, subtle renunciation inside. You have to get rid of your angry, get rid of your habit, get rid of your irritations, get rid of the most difficult thing to get rid of is the identity of you with which you established on your own intellect. You think that you are intelligent. And I am telling you, you are not intelligent. You are not intelligent. And also you have to remember, we all sitting here, we look like human being. We are not a true human being. You agree? The true human being I see only in the village people or the tribe community. You know what is the first quality of a human being? Human being are the only species, we are so very reflective, expressive. Are we able to express our feelings? Most of the time not. Because we don't have good people around for you to accept or to receive your reflections. We block ourselves. That's the one problem we have to know. When you have any emotional thought, immediately your body will start supporting you to flight or fight, means to get involved or to get out of the emotional situation. The glands will secrete certain hormones and chemicals. So what I do, because of my identity, because of my culture, because of my personality, I don't react. I suppress it. If I feel like crying, I don't cry. Still I smile. If I am angry, I don't show my anger. And very poor situation. Recently I heard from some people, there are some culture and belief system in this universe, in this world, where people always want to be looking smile and happy everywhere. They don't want to express their emotions. So what happened, I getting angry, my glands start secreting certain hormones to react, I suppress it. I block my mental emotion and also I block my secreted hormones inside. This become toxins. So what is the result? Many of us, we have stomach upset, either too much of constipation or not proper digestion, back pain and headache and less sleep. This is because of the choked endocrine system. Endocrine system is blocked. And the mind, body, the glands and the energy work in a very fine tuning. You know? So when it is secrete, when the body support, if you don't use it, this will stay in your body as a toxin. It is like a friendship. Suppose you see your friend is upset. You go and ask your friend, hello, what happened to you? You are looking so upset. What happened? You say, who are you? Why do you want to get involved in my personal things? So then next day when I see she is upset, I will have fear to ask or not ask. Is it not? The same thing happens between your body, your mind and your intellect. These three things are not in tune. And what is the result? The result is that if you have any emotional situation in your life, you are supposed to be supported by the decision given by your own intellect, but your intellect and mind is not in tune. You don't have much trust in your own intellect. You go out to borrow somebody's intelligence. So what do you call it? Counseling. And what is the hell the other person to do with your life? And I can tell you, the most of the people come to you for counseling. I don't know how many counseling experts here. And I am a counseling man, so I know better. So actually he cannot help, other people cannot help. Why do you want to borrow somebody's intelligence? For that you have to know how does your intelligence work. We say the mind, from the mind the desires, the problem rise, the answer comes from the intelligence. These two are supposed to be in tune. Your ego, intelligence, mind and body. But this is not in tune now. Most of the people, most of us. So what you need, you have to re-establish this attunement. And this also you can do it only through yoga. And many people think yoga is a physical exercise. It is not only a physical exercise. It is an attunement inside. It's a complete detoxification. And toxins in your body affect on you in three fashions. The very gross toxin in your body, You know already what is it. Lactic acid, uric acid and non-digested food and things and all. And you have a subtle toxins in your mind. Is that doubt, depression, the reason for depressions. These are all the mental toxins. And you have intellectual toxin, that is called the ignorance. Ignorance about something is also another toxin. So we have to come out of all these toxins, you have to sublimate or purify, and it happens only through yoga practice. And I can tell you, I am not because I am practicing yoga. I don't want to make you, inspire you that yoga is good so you do it. It is not that is not my idea. Yoga is already good, everybody knows that. But I am giving you an idea. Yoga is the only practice it can bring back you or give you some transparency and some true experience. And yoga is very scientific. And the ultimate science of individuality and human life is yoga science. And our